Hello, hello, it's your friend Doublebite. I'm back, I'm alive. Just redid my hair. Not like a full dye, just my blue shampoo. Didn't take as well as I would like. Didn't really take to like my little gray hairs. I mean, you probably can't see my gray hairs, but I can see my gray hairs. I'm old. Anyway, brief life update before I talk about the actual content of the video. I'm in my new place, as you can see by the boxes. I've been here exactly a week and a day, which is really nice. So lately, let's see. Verb and I are pretty damn official now, sort of. We're in a cool thing, and I like it, and they're super great. And hopefully, we'll get them back on the channel sometime for some D&D. Obviously, I've moved. During my last couple weeks in my old place, I kind of just didn't play video games at all. I haven't really been playing video games at all lately. I just watch YouTube videos mostly. But I'm gonna try to start getting back into gaming a little bit. But I'm probably gonna make more videos about game design. For those of you who were watching the Dominions 5 series that I kind of completely abandoned, I have all the content for that, and I could edit it and then put it up, but honestly, it's a grind. I played most of my turns while half asleep. I feel like I got burnt out on that game pretty fast because tyrants. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to throw content on here just to throw content on here. I'm probably going to update more like once a week than a couple times a week, just because I hang out with Burb a lot, doing other things with my life. I'm hosting more board game nights, but I don't want to let this channel die either. It's a valuable space for me. So we'll see how it goes. See, I'm on Zoloft now, which is helping with the intense anxiety that I was experiencing almost every day, and my mood swings. And my new apartment is great. I'm planning on doing a video tour at some point. But yeah, so, on to the topic. So the only game I have played of late is Donut County. I got it right when it came out. I beat it in about 2 hours, and it gave me a lot of thoughts. And I meant to make this video like 2 or 3 weeks ago when I played the game, but I didn't. So my memory of the game is a little fuzzy, I guess. Also, I'm sorry if there's background noise right now. I'll try to edit it out. A truck just pulled up. I'm on a more major street, so there's a little bit more background noise. I'll have to work around that. See how it goes. I think I have my filters up and everything, but anyway. So Donut County. So kind of on a meta level, I've been thinking about why we play games. Namely, why haven't I been playing games? I should have shaved. Anyway. And also, the kind of ever-present topic is, do game designers own game players anything? Because the actual answer is no. Make the game you want to make. If people play it and like it, they do. But there's a couple things that are owed. Making sure it's clear what the game is about, no false advertising, etc. And Donut County stated exactly what it was, had good trailers, etc. Asterisk. There's also the issue of managing expectations when playing a new game, especially when it's hyped, especially when people are comparing it to something else. And I tried to go in with really clean expectations. I'm not going to compare this to Katamari. It's very different from Katamari. And it was different from Katamari. Asterisk. So it gave me a lot of conflicted thoughts. Because I wanted to go into it as open-minded as possible. And I think I did a good job of that. And then I found the game disappointing. I was trying to ask myself, would I recommend this game? The answer is yes. I know people who would like this game a lot. But, and I don't regret playing it. I'm glad I supported the studio. But I felt it didn't live up to its potential. So, in case you don't know, Donut County is a game where you control these little holes and you're trying to suck up this entire town. And as you suck up items, the hole gets bigger and bigger until you can suck up entire buildings. And it's a really fun little cute game. Some cute puzzles. And I found myself, and there's like the plot is simple but nice. And I found myself frustrated with a couple of things. Comparing the game on its own merits, I found it very linear. In each level, there's a couple of sections to the puzzle. but you get to the next section by picking up all the items. So there's no freedom. The puzzles are very linear. You cannot accidentally screw yourself out of solving a puzzle, which is a good thing. Like if you need a fire source to light something on fire, that fire source will not go away. You get a catapult item later in the game that shoots stuff back out of the hole. You can only shoot up the stuff that you need to shoot up to solve the puzzle. The puzzles are, none of them are hard. Some of them are like, what's this? I know what I have to do, what's the sequence that gets me there? And I'm gesturing with my hands, but my hands are underneath the camera lines, the jazz hands. Anyway, some of the plot is very linear. The idea is that you are all starting out, all the townspeople are in this hole, and then like underground, and each level is them recounting how they got there. And the very last section of the game is like in the present, which is cool, but you aren't destroying the town. You're replaying the destruction of the town. There's a little loss of agency there. And then another thing I found was that, yes, there is a lot of interactivity within the levels, but it's very controlled. If there's fire, you're going to use fire to set fire to specific things. You can't set fire to everything. And things like people. As you suck up things in the hole, people generally don't react. The environment reacts in a physics way. It doesn't react in a alive way. There's some exceptions, like snakes will do something. There are lizards that will change colors and run away from you, like chameleons, and that's really satisfying. The kind of tutorial is someone riding around on a motorcycle, and as you bump them, stuff falls off the back of their bike. And I wish the game had more things like that to make it more alive. But you know, like people will just sit there and let you suck them into a hole in the ground. More or less. Also, the game is willing to cheat. Like if there are trees that you can't destroy, and you go under them, even if you're big enough to, it will show like a really big trunk. It will use invisible walls to keep you in an area. And again, it's very short. So it's fun, it's delightful, it's endearing. And I tried to make all of these comments as to the game isolated. You know, playing this game, thinking about this game. Oh, it would be nice if I felt like I was actively picking places to destroy in the town. Oh, I wish it was a little more free roaming. Oh, I wish the game reacted more to what I was doing. Oh, I wish it was a little more non-linear. And these are all things Katamari Damacy does. And that's my problem. This game got compared to Katamari a lot, you know, the idea of destroying a town or whatever. And I tried really hard not to compare it to Katamari while I was playing. That being said, all of these things were lessons that could have been learned from Katamari to make this a stronger game. And that's kind of the thing I've been pondering since playing the game, and I haven't really come up with an answer with that. Am I truly appreciating this game on its own merits, or am I biased? Like, if I had not played Katamari Damacy, would I still have these same complaints? I feel like I would. I might not have appreciated the non-linearity as much. But like, this game has no sense of scale. Every level is about the same size, you're eating up the same kind of items. There's none of that progression. It's a story-focused game with a minimal story. There's no character development. You're just playing through the events. And it's charming and it's humorous. But everything needed to go a little farther. You know? It's one of those feelings where I felt like I was playing a Let's Play. The game never told me what to do, but it might as well have been telling me what to do. There were very few aha moments in a puzzle game. There were very few highlights in a puzzle game. And like I looked through the achievements, and some of the achievements are like, hey, you could have done this thing that's a little tricky to do, that's not necessarily intuitive, and that's cool. Like, hey, figure out another way to do this, and I like that. But the game doesn't force you to think about other ways to do it because it feels linear, and you can diverge from the linear, but you're always going to go back to it. There's not that feeling in Katamari where you can go through like the 80-meter gate, but you want to pick up some items along the way. Or when you know some Katamari routes, you're going to go this way to get these trees, because that'll make you up the size level to get this building. Or you can go and knock down the kids in the school because that's really funny. You know, it's hard because games don't exist in a vacuum as much as you want them to. And I can't play a game and have it be in a vacuum. I can't play Dead Cells and not compare it to Risk of Rain, or vice versa. So it's hard. And it's something I'm trying to think about as someone who's getting more selective with games. What do I want out of a game? What do I find valuable in a game? Why do I love Terraria and not Starbound? Why does Minecraft not grip me as much as it used to? You know, things like that. So, yeah, so, I don't know, this was kind of a ramble. Just stuff I've been pondering about game design and whatnot, especially because I like designing games. I never get very far with them. But last night? Friday night, I went to a housewarming party, and I played a board game called Overseers, which is a bluffing game. You have a hand of like 5 cards, and you show 3 of them. 2 of them are hidden. And there's some like nuance to like some of the color, some of the suits. If you have 3, they're worth a lot of points, but if you have 1, they're worth no points. And they're worth varying points. So you have 3 visible, and everyone votes on who has the best hand. And if you get voted, you can admit or deny. If you admit, you discard 2 cards right away. If you deny, and you have the highest score, you lose your 2 best cards. And if you deny and you do not have the highest score, you get an extra card. That's a huge point swing. And I don't really like bluffing games. On the other hand, I recently was at a party, I think it was called like Viticulture. It was like this wine growing game. It was all worker placement, and it was so complicated looking. You placed units this year, and this place, and this season, and who, depending on the turn order, you did different things. You could place buildings. You had to go get these grapes to grow this kind of wine. You had to get wine orders that can only be fulfilled in winter. It was probably really cool. But it was just so much. I was feeling very anxious that day, so I had to tap out. That was a weird day. But so right now I've been working on this game that's some worker placement, some bluffing. I'm kind of thinking and some exploration. So I'm kind of using Terra Mystica as an inspiration. I'm using Citadels as an inspiration. Like Citadel, Terra Mystica is basically like what if Catan was good. You have a map, you build buildings and try to get points. Citadels, there are 8 rolls. First, you burn a roll, so it's not available. So there's Assassin, which kills another character. So you pick the character name, and they lose their turn. Thief, which steals from a character. Magician, where you switch cards with the player. King, where you get money by having yellow buildings, and you get to pick first. Or become the king next round, and the king always picks first. Bishop, your buildings can't be destroyed, you get points for blue buildings. Merchant, extra money, points for green, or money for green buildings. Architect, draw more cards. Warlord, money for red buildings, and destroy people's stuff. And your goal is to build 8 buildings, and you want the different colors and the special buildings. But the idea of the game is pretty heavy on interaction and bluffing. But it's a matter of, do you pick the assassin and try to predict what character the other player has? Or do you pick the king and maybe you get to pick the assassin next turn? So it's a lot of play and counterplay. In theory, you could hose one player. You could always pick the assassin and just hammer down because they're predictable. But sometimes you want to do something that's not necessarily optimal to hide what you're doing so that you don't get assassinated or stolen from. And it scales surprisingly well for 4 players, 5 players, because the amount of knowledge you have is different. In 3 players, you might get the cards passed around twice. I think you burn 1, each player will pick 2, and then you burn the last one. Really cool game, one of the few bluffing games I enjoy. So I've been working on a game that tries to combine a lot of different elements together, where you can do a lot of independent things, but there's an attack and defend mechanic, where if you attack and you're not defended against, you get a lot of good stuff. But if you attack and are defended against, you've essentially wasted an action, and the defender gets some victory points. So, but thinking about this and kind of in the context of Donut County, what am I saying this game is? I'm saying it's a bluffing game. I'm saying it's an exploration game. I'm saying it's a worker placement game where you place workers and have them do stuff. It has to be all of these things because that's what I'm saying it is. So that's 3 different directions. And someone who hates bluffing games is going to hate having to bluff. People who don't like worker placement games but like bluffing games are going to want that to feel like a valid strategy and not feel like they have to do a lot of worker micro and engine building. People who like exploration games, I need to make the exploration satisfying, you know? And by doing all of these things, I am designing around the players. I'm not designing the game I want to design, well I am, but I'm also designing based on what mechanics I want to have and how to make those mechanics satisfying the players. You know, we talked about top-down and bottom-up design. This is very much bottom-up design. I have the mechanics that I want. How do I develop them to be satisfying, and then how do I make a game around them? And Donut County is kind of like that. It's mechanics focused. You have this mechanic, physics-based whole sucks of a town. Where does the theme come from? How do we make a style for that? How do we wrap this game up? And in a way, they made a mechanics bottom-up game, and they made the exact game that they want to make, and that's awesome. And I wish I enjoyed it more. And I feel like, mechanically, it could have been a stronger game. But that game wasn't made for me. I thought the game was made for me, and it wasn't. And it's been a little weird wrapping my head around that. Because there's definitely been games where I'm like, I played it, this was not for me. It had a lot of pieces that seemed like they would be for me. This game was directly not for me, like Runestone Keeper. Starbound. I don't think I ever talked about this on the Magicite. I love procedural platformers, hated Magicite. But this, I didn't hate it. I liked what it gave me, and I just felt the game could have been better. And that feels really condescending on my part. That feels really pretentious to say, I see this thing that you made, and I think you could have made it better. But they made what they wanted to. Well, who am I to say that they could have made it better? I don't know. Just something I've been pondering. Since I haven't played a game like that, that's kind of impacted me so, as far as addressing how I think about game design. And it's the first time I played a game that made me think more from player perspective, player expectation. Not necessarily player expectation as far as, in a broader sense, but very narrow player expectation. What could players want out of this game, and how do I give that to them while staying true to the vision of the game? Just an interesting perspective. Because a lot of games are too much on that. Give the players exactly what they want. And this is the first time I've seen a game that, as a player, could have given me more. And not just tweaking what they gave you to make it more fun. Like, there are things about some games that I would have liked. This is something that I felt the game was missing something. Not just tweaking a thing, but missing something core to the genre, core to the experience. Entirely because I don't want this game to be its game. I don't know. I know I'm going in circles here, but I don't know, kind of thinking out loud here. You know, it's a game design ramble. That's what you get out of me. Anyway, this ramble is already 20 minutes long, and I need to go make dinner. But at some point soon, I hope to share some more of my game design things, of my personal design. Maybe make some more Game Maker games. I don't know. But just something I'm kind of been trying to think about, and I hope you found my ramblings at least a little bit interesting. If any of you have played Donut County, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, or if you've had a similar kind of strange experience where you played a game and felt like you should love it and didn't. I'd love to hear your reactions. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Again, I'm going to be trying to uploading at least once a week. We'll see how that goes. But until next time, double bite out.